There's a common complaint I get from job seekers, and this is them applying for jobs and the employers not getting back to them. So today I want us to look at this issue in a very deeper way, to really understand what's the issue. I mean, you keep making applications, and yet you don't get to hear back from employers. And this cuts across, whether we are talking about fresh graduates or we are talking about experienced professionals. But for us really to understand this, I would want you to ask yourself a few questions which can really lead finally to that answer. And number one, in my observation, because I'm a recruitment expert and I work at corporate staffing, and what we do, we match employees with opportunities or with employers. So on a daily basis, I interact with the two. And so this is based on my experience as a recruitment consultant, where on a daily basis, I'll be interviewing, say, 20 to 30 people for positions and seeing whether they are a good fit for the client or for the employer. And I would say, I would also believe these views are they are shared across the HR profession, or if you ask someone who's been involved in the recruitment process, whether it's a supervisor looking to hire or a HR manager in an organization. The first issue you find with many of the job applicants, it's an issue of quantity versus quality. So a lot of times you find candidates where for them they go online, for them it's just a matter of applying jobs. They really don't pay attention to the requirements of the employer. So you find someone doing 10 applications every day, instead of really going and analyzing, am I a good fit for this position? Because by the time an employer comes out with an advert, they are really looking for a good fit, someone who matches. So that's one. And how do you go about this? I normally encourage people, print your CV, print the job advert, get to see whether there's a point they are meeting, and even what percentage. So if you only meet 50% of the requirements, why would you believe that an employer will pick you, will call you for an interview, when there's another candidate who meets 90%? And I guess this is where we really have to be realistic. So if you don't meet at least 70% of the requirements, I will not recommend that you go ahead with the application. So that's the first issue. The second issue we find, and this you may or may not be aware, is the sector or industry experience. I'll give you this example. If, for example, you're applying for a job in an NGO, a lot of times they'll be looking for someone from a similar background, someone who's worked for an NGO. So to give an example, you might be this accountant working in a manufacturing setup. You look at this job in an NGO and you say, well, I think I meet 80%. But are you really from that sector? If you go to our website, corporate staffing, you will see that we are normally keen. We indicate manufacturing, we indicate NGO, we indicate service, because we know that is what the client is looking for. We've had a chance to sit with the client and really interrogate them, and they've given us as one of the criteria. So a lot of times, if you're not from that sector, you might miss that opportunity, especially where the employer is keen on that. So why then do employers insist on industry or sector experience? It's because they have a certain way of working, There's a way they do their things, and if you really don't belong there, even if you are qualified and you might have the skills, they really don't have the time to come train you and bring you up to speed. So that's basically the reality, It doesn't mean you're not qualified, it just means that someone is looking for something different. The other issue that most employees don't understand is even the time when you apply matters. A lot of times, most of the employers, most of the advertisers, unless they have mentioned, they'll start shortlisting from day one, as soon as they start receiving applications. So if you're the type that sees a job today and you wait up to the last day to apply, it might be too late. Again, where I work, it's very normal for us to put a job in the morning at 9 a.m. By 2 p.m., we've already started looking at the applications. And even if we've indicated that this job will close in the next 4 days, chances are if we have enough candidates, qualified candidates to interview, before that closing date, we'll go ahead with the exercise. So if you come later on the last day, and no matter how qualified you are or you meet, I might have really missed you. So it doesn't mean, again, you don't qualify. It just means you applied at the wrong time. So I always tell people, unless it's very clear that, yeah, this employer or the advertiser is willing to wait all the way for those 7 days until expiry of the advert, please apply as soon as possible. The other issue, and this one relates to the first point of quality versus quantity, is the presentation. How do you present your documents? Picture this scenario. You have a HR manager looking to only hire one person for this role. They put their word out there. They've received over 2,000 applications, and it is possible. Don't be scared. Out of these 2,000, they are probably looking just to meet 20 people only. So if they are looking to meet only 20 people, how many people do you think they are going to shortlist? So they probably shortlist 50 people, and then they can start meeting these 20 candidates. So how you really package yourself, you present yourself, really matters. If I look at your CV and number one, it doesn't really tie to the job description that I have, I'll have doubts as your ability. So I may not call you. So what I tell people, for every job that you apply, take the time to really customize your CV to fit in the job advert. It doesn't mean word for word, but look at what the employer or advertiser is emphasizing and make sure you have that in your CV. So those are just a few tips. Others could be as simple as, are you able to follow instructions? You've worked for this person to present certain documents they've not been able to present. You know, you've asked for someone to indicate salary details, although that's a very emotive issue and we can discuss it later. But those simple instructions, has someone been able to follow those simple instructions? But I would say over and above that, what really counts is whether you are really a good fit, you know, whether you meet the requirements. And I would say, instead of just applying for a job for the sake of it, you know, and making applications every day, and you end up being exhausted or you end up losing hope, I would say you are better off only in a month applying for 4 positions, which you have the confidence that you meet the requirements and you have the chances of progressing to the next stage. So a lot of times there are things which you can do which are within your powers to make sure every time you apply for a job, you actually have a higher success of at least getting called for an interview. So for these and more career tips, please subscribe to our channel and we'll keep you posted.